President, I thank the senator from Washington very much for her courtesy, and I will be brief, but I'm going to be very succinct. In fact, I'm going to be responding to some of the things that Senator Schatz from Hawaii has said and some of the others on the floor. I'm going to respond to myself. I made a speech here only yesterday on about 2:30, where I talked about the frustration I have and most Georgians have with the fact the government shut down, to talk about who's losing. We're losing. Government loses more money when you shut down than it makes any other time. Shutting down is a losing proposition all the way around. And we are exemplifying how it's the best way to lose, because we're just not doing anything to solve the problem. So I have a solution I'm going to propose specifically right now. And I'm not going to put my name on it to be the lead name. I don't care who gets the credit. I'm ready for some solutions. And I'm going to talk to you about some very serious things right now and some very difficult things. But we're in a serious, difficult problem. We need serious, but like the American press, we have serious problems and we need serious people to solve them. Mr. President, in the United States today, at our ports, our airports, our highways, every way you can cross the border to come in the United States of America, we charge fees for all kinds of things, and have for years. And we have sinking funds, like harbor maintenance sinking funds, things like that. People come across our borders all the time in Smuggler's Gulch in San Diego. They come back on 8-lane highway, flooding into America in the morning to go to work and flooding out of America to go to bed in the afternoon. And we charge for that here, there, and yonder, a little bit there, a little bit there. And a constituent of mine called me last night, a gentleman I know very well, who's a very successful business person. He said, Johnny, y'all are fighting over this border wall, or how you fund it, or who gets credit for it, and I saw your speech. Have you ever thought of this? I listened, and I thought, and I said, you know, I haven't. And I got my staff to give me the information, and it all works. It makes sense, and I think it would make sense to the American people. I think it makes sense to the President of the United States, to the Democratic Party, and the Republican Party as well. And if we all start tonight even and decide whether we want to sign it or not, we can do it together. Who gets the credit for it stops, and we get the problems, and we go fight over something that makes more sense fighting over than having a border that leaks, an immigration program that doesn't work. Here's the idea. We establish a fee to enter the United States of America through our ports, through our airports, through all different ways you come here, and create a sinking fund for that money to go into, and it's designated for the security of our borders, our Canadian border and our Mexican border. That's it. A charge, someone entering the company pays, and if it's a bus that comes in 10 times a day, they don't pay 10 times what somebody who comes in once a day does, but we'll figure that out, but just create a mechanism. If you use the current mechanisms that are being collected, money's collecting them today in our departments, we raise $2.5 billion a year doing that. Did you hear me? $2.5 billion. What if we had $2.5 billion? We wouldn't have a problem anymore. And you could argue over what you build, but that doesn't matter. We can have security. That security is what we want. So this Senate and the House get together, in the White House, we get in a room, we say, okay, what do we want to charge? Who do we want to give responsibility to? What's the goal? And the goal is to secure the border, a mechanism to fund securing the border, and to get off this argument of who's right, whether it's Democrats or Republicans, because we're just arguing about something that doesn't matter. What matters is the American people. What matters is how their representatives are handling their problems. What matters is what you and I are doing to get this whole argument that's going on and put it aside. So I'm here to tell you that I'm throwing an idea out that I think is a good idea. A very smart man gave it to me. I didn't think of it. I thought about it all last night. I couldn't think anything wrong with it, and I'm sure somebody's going to be able to come up with something else that's wrong with it. But it pays for it. We decide where the money goes, and it goes for security. We don't argue over what type of security, because that's not the issue. The issue is we want it secure. Let's get off. What we've had is we've had a couple of leaders and some leaders that have talked about argued about how you secure it, not whether or not you secure it. Well, you can always argue about how. I mean, I like pink better than purple, but I don't let that stop me from buying a black shirt if it's the only shirt I can get. So it's time that we decide what it is we want, and we want security. We want to put the government back to work. We want the American people to get the benefits they deserve. We want a mechanism to do it, and that's a simple mechanism to do it. And we already do it everywhere. We do the passenger facility charge. The distinguished speaker sitting in the chair today knows that. He flies here every week and pays $7.50, I think, per ticket here and per ticket out. It goes in the passenger facility charge. It pays for the security of airports. We do this all over the place. Well, let's do it here. When you ask anybody what's the biggest problem in America, they say the biggest problem is the American Senate and the American House won't sit down and get the work done. But after that, We haven't even opened the door to see what we can find a solution on. Well, this opens the door on the solution. I'm telling you, as a representative in the state of Georgia, representing 10.5 million people in this Senate, we can solve our problem today, not tomorrow, but today, with the action of our finance committees and our leadership and the President of the United States, by not deciding who gets credit or who gets blamed, but deciding it's time enough for the funny games to be over with. It's time for us to get down to business. We all did an oath just a few months ago when we were sworn in, saying that's what we want to do, and now we're avoiding it every single day. So I won't take any more time. I know this gentleman from Texas is here, and the lovely lady is from Minnesota is here, and two very good representatives of the United States Senate and the United States of America. But don't forget about this idea. I'm going to talk about it a lot. I don't want it to be the Isakson Amendment or the Isakson idea. I want it to be our idea. I want it to be America's idea. I want to fund it with Americans' money to solve America's borders, get our immigration system solved, and get us off a dead center, talking about nothing, and mainly down the center line. In fact, I want to end with what Zell Miller told me. Zell was in the middle of the Senate one time. He beat me for governor of Georgia back in 1990. In our last debate in that Senate race, it was a pretty good race. I had gotten it pretty close. In fact, my grandchildren are old enough for that thing to have almost been won by me, if I can embellish the stories a little bit more. But in the end of the story, we had a minute each to close our speech. And I closed my remarks with a 1 minute statement. I thought it was pretty good. And Zell kind of leaned back, with that twang of Zell's, and said, ladies and gentlemen, if you see a turtle sitting on a fence post on a country road, there's one thing you know for sure. He did not get there by himself. I know for sure right now we're going nowhere because we're not talking about the problem. I know for sure that it's time for us to do the simple thing, and that's solve it, not the hard thing, and that's think of other reasons why we can't solve it. And I, for one, am going to do everything I can do to let my people that I'm representing here know I'm doing everything I can to get it closed. I don't care what we have to do. I'm not going to call anybody a name. I'm not going to do anything like that. I'm not going to claim it for my idea, or I hope nobody will steal it and try to claim it for theirs and cause us problems. Let's just get to work. There's no problem we can't solve if we don't want to, and there's no problem we can solve if we don't want to solve it. So God bless you, Mr. President, for presiding today, and God bless the United States of America, and I yield back the balance of my time.